Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Masks of Nyarlathotep. This week, I'm here with John.
Hello.
George.
Hi.
Scott.
Ole, 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 ole.
Justin.
Howdy.
Shirley.
Hello.
And I'm Matt.
Let's call the callback.
You're not supposed to join them.
Sorry.
What?
He knows what he did.
Yeah, he did.
Johnny, you're not going to Comic-Con tomorrow.
Oh! I wouldn't do that. That's bullshit. I can't go to Comic-Con, then he's my ride. Wait, George, you want to go?
I'll drive you to Comic-Con.
So, this is the after party, where we're going to talk about everyone's experiences with the Masks of Nyarlathotep story. Also, welcome to episode 100. Woo! Yep, I counted like 4 times to make sure.
Is that right?
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Nice.
Does
I know.
that include side quests?
Yes, it does.
And this is episode 100 of Masks, huh?
Yep.
Wow, never thought we would have made it that long. I thought we'd have had to hide Jason's body long before that.
Hey, we made it through like 94 episodes without him.
Without him?
Or, no, with him. Something. I don't know.
I thought you'd been here longer than that.
I don't know, right?
Hi, everybody.
That went downhill. Hi, everybody.
So, what'd you guys think? This is all on you. I'm not doing much. Let's talk about the storyline and what you guys thought. And if you guys have questions, I will reveal all that I can.
What happened to Wentworth?
What happened to Wentworth?
What
I
happened
will
to
reveal
Wentworth?
everything I can that I decided. And I haven't decided that for I wish to play in a future game where I am Brass and Johnny is Burn, and Brass and Burn go on a crazy adventure.
To do what?
Looking
Go
for
find
Wentworth.
Wentworth.
Looking for Wentworth.
Oh, whatever.
Were you not here just 5 minutes ago?
It'll be Brass and Burn and the quest for the Golden Wentworth.
Burning brass. So he got dipped in
Burning
gold?
Brass. That sounds like a venereal disease, actually.
Yeah, and it's better than burning bush.
What?
Also a venereal disease.
So,
Johnny's
Are we still
ignoring
rated
us.
PG-13?
Technically, yes.
Wait,
I mean,
PD has... We're not talking about the thing. We're talking about a thing associated with the thing. So it's not rated R.
The medium is the message. The thing is the thing.
Scott, you were going to ask a question?
wow.
I hate it when you logic out of that shit. Stuff.
So, Okay, a couple questions. Were we meant to get the dump truck of information dropped on us on game 1? Because we had here, read these 18 pages of clippings and all of that. It was like, really?
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Some of that information may have escaped with a cultist, but someone clubbed them to death.
That would have been amazing. That's awesome. Way to go.
Oops,
Monticello.
that's true. I stand by killing that guy.
That first scene actually comes down to how quickly do they kick in the door. You guys kicked it in quickly enough that the cultists didn't get away with anything. Had you waited, they would have stolen some of that evidence.
See, so Botticello was right.
See,
No, he wasn't right.
Yes, he was. We saw that guy kill a guy.
Crazy
Anyway,
religious guy.
next question. What do you guys think of the story?
I really liked it. When did you decide that Wilkerson was going to come back and kill his family?
Let's see. I said, Scott, Wilkerson wakes up, and there's Omar Shakti. Right about then.
I hate you.
Actually, no, I decided it when you wouldn't leave England, knowing he was going to be there, I was going to have to kill his family to give you that
So
closure.
you did kill his family.
So you killed his family.
I didn't say that.
I
I
did.
did not say that.
Yeah, because if you'd have been like, oh, he's coming home, well then, Lord Wilkerson, I know you need your space. You know, I should probably go back to America. I love you all. I'll give it 6-8 months, and then I'll come back and see how everyone's doing. Let the healing process begin. Instead, you were all up in the business, being like, well, that ain't him. I gotta tell you, I gotta protect you. I'll get my Derringer, I'll put it in my fancy little desk, strap it on the inside of my thigh, saunter down the stairs, and go like, I'm gonna put down the seed of poison. And right then and there, you killed them all.
That's not true. Ferguson's still alive.
Right, well, Ferguson's always gonna be
So
alive.
Sarah.
Right.
How
Because
did
she's pregnant with the cult baby.
Yeah.
What was the question?
Sir Arthur Conan Doyle feel about his house getting broken into?
Yeah, we never got feedback on that. I didn't get closure.
You know,
You know what?
I like to think that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle has dealt with enough weirdos in his lifetime.
Yeah.
It's just one more day in life.
You know
What
what?
about the family
He
members of all
added-
those workers who got poisoned?
Oh,
They-
that
they
was a
don't-
terrible massacre.
I
Do you
have a
feel sad
question
about that?
in this vein of ridiculous questions. What happened to who's your nemesis?
Gavigan?
Gavin.
What happened to Gavigan's maid after Wilkerson, soiled the curtains? Did she get fired or
No, Gavin got killed, so nobody ever found out.
Oh, you never.
Did
got
they
back?
never found the curtains? Damn it.
The rent dries up on this apartment. Some people come in and be like, well, we're the bank now. We foreclosed on it, and it's just full of dirty.
And somebody went in there looking for the curtains because in the Christmas Carol with Ebenezer Scrooge,
They steal the curtains.
They steal the curtains from his deathbed.
They're like,
Right.
oh!
Nice. That's horrid.
This is probably not the
Sorry.
best time for you to be eating, sweetie.
Sorry.
No, you're
No,
fine.
just-
No, it's perfect. Any sincere, honest to goodness questions about the story
I do.
itself?
Yeah,
I have a
yes, several, but I would like to make one more semi-poignant point before
Wait.
we move forward.
Justin's got a question.
Are you sure what the word poignant means before you start?
We were
I
in
don't
the,
think
we
you
were
know
in
what
the
that word
20s,
means.
and there were some questionable language choices. But I have to say, the single most potentially racist moment of the entire module was, "Hello!"
That's not racist so much as culturalist.
I guess. But it was
Because
just
British
like,
people are not a race. They're a culture.
okay, fair enough. But it was
Oh,
just
I
really
thought you were
like,
getting ready to say that British people weren't people.
No. We have British
And that's
listeners.
just been taken over.
well, never
We have
mind.
British listeners who we love. Thank
The
you to our British
former
listeners.
most culturalist thing was right before Shirley said that last sentence.
Really? Because I had to bleep something out in the last 6 episodes that you might have said during an intro.
I don't know what you're talking about. Jesse, you had a real question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. There were 2 obvious side quests we skipped out on. How many
Okay.
side quests did we miss?
And was the werewolf part of the module?
Yes,
It was a
it
side quest, I assume, yeah.
You skipped one in New York.
Oh, really? What was
You
that?
skipped one. I don't remember. I just remember there was a side quest in New York. You skipped one in England.
Really?
Really?
Yeah,
Which one
there
was
was a
that?
thing about paintings.
Oh, yeah.
And
Because
let me tell you, this is how that one goes.
Oh, wait.
There's an evil snake guy in that house. If you go into a closet and look at a painting and fail your power check, you're out of the game.
Wow.
You get sent back to the time of the serpent people 1 billion years ago.
Oh my goodness.
That's awesome.
I kid you not.
Okay, was the evening in the fog part of the
is there a
module?
way for us
Yeah.
to get back?
Oh, that's not right.
No, there is not a way for you to get back. And yes, the evening in the fog is part of the module. It's actually, it should have killed one of you, but you had a magic stick, and I didn't think about that when Jesse was like, I want this magic stick. The fog can't be hurt.
Unless you have a magic stick, right?
Unless you have a magic stick that can hit things that can't be hurt.
Nice.
Literally the only thing I'm like, it's a magic stick. It can hit things that can't be hit.
See?
But what's that gonna matter? Fire, frickin' bats, frickin' magic fog. 2 things. And you know what? I'm glad I gave it to him because it gave you guys a chance in situations that were very, very
One-sided.
unsuccessful.
and it proved I wasn't completely crazy.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
there's
Way to
those.
go, Jesse.
There are 4 side quests in Cairo, and then the side quests dry up. There's 2 or 3 in Australia, but they're weird. Australia is a really weird chapter.
Tell us a little
Because
bit
of
about
the bugs.
Australia, because we sidestepped that entirely. Now.
Yeah.
So Dr. Huston, who you remember from the original Carlisle expedition, ends up in Australia. He digs up an ancient city of the Great Old Ones, which are the Yithians, which are a race of cones. Just go with me on this.
Cones?
Right.
Yes. This is from Lovecraft.
Cones with tentacles. I kid you not. You're
Like cone versus cylinder.
yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. I thought we were talking like cone. What is the sound of one hand clapping?
No. So you go in and you have to stop him. There are lightning guns and there's flying polyps, which if you're not familiar with flying
wow,
polyps, they're
yeah.
naturally invisible
Yeah.
and can only really be hurt by lightning guns. Thank God you have them. However, lightning guns have like 1d20 charges and then you're out. The cultists also have the lightning guns to begin with, and they do like 2d10. Just blah! You're
Wow.
dead.
Okay, then.
Or 4d10. It's ridiculous.
So what you're saying is, don't do any side quests.
Hold on. Also, on the way to that place in Australia, you're likely to die from just everything. And there's a lot of racism in Australia because Aborigines are,
Less than people.
yeah, until like 1960s, they were less than people
That
in
just does
Australia.
not even
There's
make
actually a
sense.
good chunk of historical information in the module about the Aboriginal people because of that information. I was really impressed by that.
So, was there anything we could have gotten from those that would have helped us in the
Lightning
quest?
guns would have been awesome. I'm telling you right now, there's a couple other things in the Great Old One city. You can also find one of the Great Old Ones, and they can help you with some time travel stuff, which might let you get back your friend from the old times if they got stuck in that picture, but unlikely.
So,
Yeah, if we'd had lightning guns.
can you
Oh,
recharge
yeah.
the lightning guns?
No, you don't have the technology.
If we'd had lightning guns, Father Grave told it would have stormed the mountain.
Nice. So I thought there was a bit of a disconnect from the, or at least this was a problem that I had, and it could have been because this was my first Call of Cthulhu game when I first started, and I was a little unsure of the module feel when we first went in did not have the impact of the fact that it was going to be 100 episodes. You know, the fact that it was going to be 400 hours of that it was actually going to be more, or 100 hours or whatever. That it was, most modules are, you sit down, you play it in an evening.
There's a couple of things. First, when we started this, I made a huge mistake and did not pull you guys in deeper to begin with. I pulled in George's character, Weld. And I knew I had Johnny because I can just dangle a, hey, look, an investigation, and Johnny's off like a racehorse. Because that's what he wants to do.
Yeah.
I knew I had them. I knew Jesse would go along for just about anything, and so would Shirley. Jason was always going to be a question, but I also know that Jason's an old school gamer, so if I put a quest in front of him, he'll go on it. You, Scott, I did not hook.
You were the monkey wrench.
I
What?
The monkey wrench in his
Yeah.
work. So
Yeah.
I didn't hook you. And that was the problem. That's why I did the thing with gabbing and attacking your dreams, and then your chest melting off. I did all those things to hook. The attacking your dreams is possible, but I let it happen early.
Uh-huh.
And the chest melting off, not even mentioned in the thing. Not at all.
Okay.
Actually,
Because what hooked me was when he rifled my room.
oh yeah.
Yeah, when he tossed my room, I was
No,
in.
that was also me
Right.
trying. It says that they will, the cultists in New York will dog you if they catch on to you guys following up on them, and they knew at that point.
Right.
But I made it you specifically because I wanted to hook you, and Scott, it's all about Scott. And I don't mean this in a bad way. You're a narcissistic person.
Yeah.
So if I hurt you, you're in.
Yeah.
So that's what I did there. I should have, and we're going to do this for Octung, I should have gotten better backstories to hook you in that way so that you guys are more invested ahead of time.
Because it wasn't, I was still feeling my way
Mm-hmm.
and not really sure. So we finished a mega module, or what was it called?
Let me ask you, let me answer your second question, or
Okay.
the second part of your question, or give you the second answer to your question. How about that? It didn't feel like a big thing because you are only given a couple of strings to other places in the world. This is an exploration module, and it takes those strings and gives you a new string at each location. So when you're first presented with things, you get to see the entire layout of the world, but it's so pieced together and there's not enough information there that you don't see the bigger picture, which is good because you don't want to give too much information away. But I don't know if they give enough for certain players like you, Scott. I knew that I had Johnny invested because it was something he could investigate, he could track down and look into. Again, Shirley and Jesse are just going to go along. I had George, I thought. I don't know how George feels about that. And Jason was just going to go along because that's what he does. So you two were the ones that I wasn't sure were going to follow that along, but once Weld was invested, I knew that was going to go that way.
Which, on a side thing, given the background that Matt and I had discussed, that Weldon and Wilkerson had fought in the war, that we had known each other, that you were now a somewhat socialite in Baston, when you came...
Boston, where the Patriots are from. Go ahead.
I hate you.
Technically, he's from Cambridge.
Right, okay, better. Cambridge, because then he doesn't get to make the freaking Patriots remark. So, when you came sideways, what your original portrayal portrayal of Weld, the first game and maybe the first night and maybe the second night a month later really took me for a loop because I thought, okay, well, we were in the Army and we're gonna, you know, have that to kick it off. And you were I'm gonna run around in my pajamas with my Oriental flair. And it put me off kilter from get go. And was that intentional? Was it?
Yeah, that's part of the
was
character.
That communication? Did you know that before?
I knew his character had spent time in the Orient. I did not expect silk pajamas.
The reason was when you met him during the war, he would have been a different person because the key point in his life that prior to the game was that during the war, he'd come from this wealthy family, so he'd been very cultured, very much living the officer's lifestyle. But he was someone who wanted to rebel and make a life for himself, and always trying to break away from his parents and be, you know, he's like the alternative kid of the family, the black sheep, whatever you want to call it.
Bohemian?
Yeah. And so, like, they didn't want him to go to war. They didn't want, when he went to war, they didn't want him to see combat. So he finally was able to see combat, and his backstory was that he led his men on a night,
the night raid, right?
On a night raid, and most of them get slaughtered, and he's like, oh my god, I am, like, what have I done? And that just basically sends him in a tailspin to where now he's gone to the Orient, gone through all these travels, and that's fundamentally changed him, but it's also, he's still kind of a dilettante and still kind of playing at things rather than really understanding them. But so he's very much someone who's like come back from the war and is trying to find a purpose and trying to find a self, and so he tried to find it in these Eastern mysteries. So he would have been, that character interaction would have been, I think, would have been correct, that Wilkerson would have seen this guy and be like, this is not the guy I fought with, this is someone else really weird.
Right, because it was completely jarring and 100% not what I expected at all. Even on a player level, I was like, okay, is this some kind of, I mean, I kept looking at Matt going, okay, is this some kind of joke? Is this not, and I think it led well to the interaction in game, but it really looped me.
Yeah. And it was kind of weird too, because I think I didn't mean Weld to be so goofy, possibly, but two things kind of changed. That was that Weld, I didn't expect Weld to be kind of the focal point where he was pulling in his various associates to investigate his friend's death. I didn't really expect that. And so that put more focus on him at the beginning, and then the way people kind of responded to, like, the pajamas thing was a little bit more extreme than I thought. They're like, oh my god, he's really weird and insane, and I was like, oh, well, okay, sure he is. Let's do it. So, this is kind of playing up to that also reaction as well.
So George did the improv thing and said, yes, and.
Yeah.
I do love that the Kung Fu Master jumps off of the fire escape first game and breaks his ankle.
Well, like, some of the mechanics in this are kind of wonky, because, like, martial arts is actually not great. Mm-hmm. And and the way, going by the book, martial arts wouldn't cover certain things that might include martial arts, such as kicking or punching or
anything other than fisting.
Yeah. Not even fisting. Basically, it just kind of lets you do more damage. But as it's written, it doesn't let you do anything else. So something like jumping or kicking or whatever, it doesn't actually make it that much better or make your chances to hit. There's a lot of skills in this game that you kind of need to double up on, like sneak and hide. Mm-hmm. You gotta pay for 2 skills rather than like gun, than shotgun. You just put all your skills into that and you're a beast.
Yeah.
Because I was sort of reeling from the original portrayal and what I had anticipated, and what more importantly, what Matt and I had discussed. And I thought, okay, well, he had the night raid and he had these, and now he's just he's trying to find himself, and he's not sure, and he's traveled to the Orient, he's coming, and I thought it was like travel to the Orient, go do a bunch of opium, come back and go, all right, well, I sort of squandered all the money, and I'm ready to come back to mom and dad now. So it was really not what I'd all expected. And then you jumped off the thing and went, and burnt your ankle, and I'm going, wow, not even the martial arts, right?
No, man.
That was great. No, it was very interesting. It was very different.
You played a little goofier, a little bit funny, but I was fine with that. I think it worked.
I loved it. I mean, I thought it was a very interesting take. And I don't know, for me, it wasn't that jarring. I don't know what was different. Did I get to listen? I want to say I got to listen to the Creation.
It's possible.
Podcast.
I think the other problem is Scott wasn't even ready for the system, which you were.
True.
So Scott was juggling a lot of things that night, that first night. So.
Maybe.
And you also had two other characters to connect to. You had Botticello and Eva McCree, whereas Scott's only connection was Weld, and his only link into the game was freaking him out, man.
Yeah, it went sideways.
You know what I mean? I mean, at least you had other links in the game, not necessarily to the story, but you could interact with them in a familiar way manner.
Yeah, like we're gonna do this romp through the thing, and your guy is Abraham Lincoln, and you're like, oh, okay, I get you. And you walk in, and there's a clown with a top hat. And he's like, yeah, Lincoln the clown.
No clowns.
Yeah, Lincoln the clown. Abraham Lincoln the clown. You didn't know that?
I wake up screaming out Lincoln the clown, and you get to punch Scott.
Sorry.
Put that
You
knuckle out.
live like 10
Listeners,
minutes away
From your house.
Matt has a phobia of clowns.
But that's
Just
how
for
the
your
evening went.
information.
They filled it all the clowns.
Yeah. 407 years. Hee. Yep, that's.
That's just weird, man.
So that's how it goes. Moving on.
So, what did you think of? Do you think you missed anything? Do you think you missed any clues anywhere?
Yeah.
Missed interactions
Yeah.
with anything?
A lot of those side quests, I don't know. I mean, I remember the painting thing and that one, but I feel like some of them we just didn't even know existed.
Yeah, the Cairo, I felt like we missed a couple Cairos.
I kept saying, "Do you guys go to the newspaper? You gotta be on now. Why would we do that?" That's where all they were. I mean, literally every one of them was in the newspaper.
That was so. That's one problem I had with the module is that after a certain point, it seemed like a lot of the conflicts and clues got resolved in the same way, where it was go to the newspaper, which happened like about 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Which isn't a problem, but it's it makes sense that that'd be a good place to gather information, but it's having it repeated at the same place over and over is kind of a pain. And then the repeated, you meet a cultist, you meet a guy who's involved in this, you fight. And I thought it would have been really cool if to have conversations with them, and like especially like later on in the game, have some of them try and recruit Jason's character, for example, or we're trying to explain, no, what we're doing is actually good, and have that kind of like, villain T moment, rather than just like, oh, you're in here, I'm gonna lie to you, I'm gonna lie to you, I'm gonna lie to you, oh, you know I'm a cultist, magic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been nice to have that Bond villain moment where it's like, but no, we are, and have him attempt to do this is the morally right thing to do, and you just don't have all the information. If you saw it from our side, you join us.
The closest we got to that was, I think, one of the high points of the show was when we were under the pyramid and he's bringing in the body and he's like, you can't do anything about this, guys, and you killed me, and here I am. Like, that was really great. And it was one of the moments where you actually got to, like, you're separated by this room, you've got dynamite on one side and 100 cultists on the other, but combat slows things down and it slows the story down. It becomes a thing into itself. Mm-hmm. And having that, like, just a little bit of play where we're both kind of, like, shouting stuff at each other is kind of neat.
Okay. Do the cultists we had cultists of Nyarlathotep. Are there there was discussion of the Inuit tribe with the Toad people. Do the various Deep One cults fight amongst each other?
No. All deep ones worship Cthulhu in one form or another.
Yeah, the brings up a question is, so how are they related to the Nyarlathotep cults, or was this just an ancillary thing?
Most of them had contact Deep One.
Okay.
It's just that simple. Like, they're still Cthulhu based. Also, keeping in mind, and you guys may not know this, Nyarlathotep is the speaker of the gods.
Yeah.
So he's the Hermes here. So when Hermes comes and says, hey, I need your help, I know you worship Zeus, you still kind of help him, because Zeus is going to use him later as a mouthpiece.
Right.
So a lot of them had contact Deep Ones. Also, Deep Ones are pretty iconic and everybody knows what a Deep One is.
Yeah,
So,
troopers.
like once you know that, they're not terribly difficult, but they're difficult enough that they're scary, right, Botticello?
Yep.
But they're not like ghouls. Ghouls just take half damage from guns. Just bang! I'll take half of that. Go away. The fire bats. You guys didn't fight the Shantak. So when you guys went and rescued Byrne, the sky ripped open. Shantak were supposed to come down. They're huge bird-like creatures that literally just rip you to pieces.
After that scene, I read that module. That would not have gone well.
Yeah. It is, Deep Ones are like entry-level kobolds in the Call of Cthulhu world, and they're easily used anywhere there's water. and you guys kept getting on boats. I mean, the game is designed to have you travel from place to place, and almost everywhere is near water. So why not use them? And the module does.
Okay.
That's what I used them for.
So, how did the fire bats find us on the train?
The tea dealer was actually in the back car, which is why I asked so thoroughly what cars you guys were in. Had someone gone to the back car and sat with the people or the front car. The lowest class car, if someone had sat there instead of all of you clustering together, you would have seen him.
Okay. So, didn't we get attacked with fire bats after we 86'd the tea
Nope.
dealer?
Nope.
No, we didn't.
There was
Okay.
attack of fire bats in Shanghai, but that had nothing to do with it other than they were trying to get brass.
Okay.
So then, were these different? So I understand that most of the main cults we fought were different aspects of Nyarlathotep. The
Yeah.
bloated woman, the tongue, etc.
Oh, I didn't even put the bloated woman together with that.
Yeah, Bloated
Yeah.
Woman is one more aspect of Nyarlathotep.
He's got like 1,000 different forms or something like that.
Yeah.
But, so were they all in communication with each other? Like, what was their... Is this going to spoil Octon Cthulhu if I say...
No.
What was their end game? Because, I mean, okay, so in London, or in England, they're trying to summon the Shakti... Is that what it was?
The
Shanti?
the Shantak
Shantak,
were just
jeez.
coming down to eat people. That was just a normal monthly ritual.
Oh, they're doing that. Okay.
That was just like, that's the first Saturday
The
of the month.
thing, the London thing is literally just more information, and Gavigan leads the cult.
Oh.
There was more information in that manor that you never saw. That would have given you more. But you guys drove in, shot some people, and drove out.
And rolled.
There were other options, but Burn, nothing against Burn,
I
but
had
Burn,
2 hit points when I
Well,
sheriff dueled the.
yeah, Burn also threw a wrench in that because you had to save him. You guys all felt very, very strongly about that. Well, except Jason.
What would have been the other options there?
If you hadn't stormed into the Pinhu Foundation,
Yeah, that was
you could
great.
have offered to meet with Gavigan at his estate. You could have gone out there while he was in town. But you guys literally walked into London, planted your flag in front of the enemy, and said, "Now what?"
Mm.
Yeah,
And that's
sorry.
all Scott.
So that was all me.
But it's not just on Scott. I mean, this is...
That
Yes.
particular one.
Yeah, there's a system-related thing here, though, where we learned very early on, again, because of Burn, and this was a good lesson, that splitting the party, going solo, almost a death sentence.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But then it makes it impossible to do things like breaking and entering, unless every character is built specifically to break and enter or to do scouting type stuff, you can't really do it because...
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. All right. Sorry, listeners. We had some sort of technical difficulty with Audacity.
Sorry.
So we lost a little bit of talk there. Not much, thankfully. George had just asked a question about splitting off into groups and how the system is a little rough. I don't know how far I got into the explanation, but essentially, George, there were, for most things, a 2-party group could have done a lot of the stuff, like the breaking in and entering stuff. My rule of thumb that I didn't tell you, and I was never going to tell you, because why tell the players that thing? Going off by yourself, just by yourself, was definitely going to remove you from the game, if not permanently, for a while. Hence why Johnny got pulled away. And Johnny, I think even you said, you heard me, when you listened to it again, you heard me say, really?
Yeah,
That's a terrible idea, Johnny. Are you sure you want to do that?
No, you didn't say that much. You gave the GM. So you're going to go off by yourself. That pregnant pause was in there, and it should have been a red flag.
And you were like, yeah, why not? I don't see a problem. It's not like somebody's going to kidnap me or something.
But at that point, Byrne was, cocky and sure of himself that, for one thing, I didn't have any idea that Gavigan even knew who we were yet.
Yeah, it's true.
You didn't know that I had
Right.
sent them telegrams from the place going, we know who you are!
Nope. You didn't share that,
No,
Scott.
you didn't.
No, I didn't share that at all, that I was poking him from across the pond with
Yeah.
telegrams.
I would like to point out to the listeners, because they can't see what's going on during game, but I would say by far the most, with Jason maybe in the second, the person who texted the DM the most with secret notes was definitely,
I'm the keeper, sir.
the keeper was definitely Scott. And especially in the early going, there'd be a lot where you'd just be texting madly.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's where is this going?
Well, and because, and I can speak to some of that because I was unfamiliar with the system and the group and the game, and I had been led to believe, if only in small part by our keeper, that, there are times, part of the buildup was the discussion from the last game where, one guy just bolted to his car and drove away, leaving the entire party to their doom, and that was the only guy that lived. So, you may just need to shoot somebody in the back of the knee and go, hey, I don't have to run faster than them, just faster than you.
What Scott is referencing is a previous one-shot that I played in with Jesse, where Jesse was that person who drove off in the car and was the only survivor, and he spent most of the game texting Matt with secret stuff his character was doing. So I fully expected Scott's character to just start shooting us, which he sort of did, not totally on accident, but not really trying to kill people either. More like just spray and pray at certain points.
Just right.
But I thought a lot of this was going to be like, I'm waiting for them to turn around a corner and then I shoot them or something.
Oh, no. And I was fully with the party with the understanding that, I may have to gack any one of them. So let me text Matt to say that, I'm going to wait for any of them to get jumpy. Cause I was seriously waiting for one or more of you to turn on me at some point and go, well, I'm good with a shotgun.
I never hurt the party. I just had a backup plan.
In
the first game.
Yeah. No, you just survived. You were a survivor.
Yeah.
You were the last girl.
And the closest thing that I had played to quote unquote horror, which I feel just even ashamed saying this next part, was a vampire game.
Which is about the horrors of existence.
And is all King of the Hill.
Of existence.
Yeah. Of existence, yes.
Yeah,
So-
the World of Darkness stuff that we have played in large systems are not horror at all.
No, it's the world of poor lighting at best.
It's a bunch of people wearing roughly collars writing poetry and then throwing chops. Rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, we drew cards, sir. We drew
Oh,
cards.
did you? How fancy.
Yeah.
That's how they all are now.
So, I don't know, any other thoughts, guys? I mean...
As a person who had a few characters die on them,
Okay.
I at least felt like all of my character arcs finished except for Frank's. I like the way he died, but I feel like it was partially my fault because when I started playing Frank, I really didn't have an idea of where I wanted him to go.
Mm-hmm.
How did Frank die again?
I think the pregnant lady got him, didn't he? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ripped in
that's
half by a baby
right.
elder god.
Yeah. But I had started working on Chizobo at the same time I was working on Frank.
Let's see. George, you have a thought?
No, I lost it. I'll try and vamp, though, for time. I'm trying to think about... Really enjoyed the game, so any criticism also is not intended...
No.
As a keeper or anything like that.
Actually, I'm going to take this and use it for the next one. So.
Yeah, and this is something that we talked about earlier. But this is... It's kind of a weird function of the way the game plays out, because... You have to balance the horror aspect of the game versus it being fun. And so with that painting thing, you could really seemingly run this module kind of like a Tomb of Horrors type thing where you go across the wrong door, you're dead. But unless the players want to play that kind of game, and I'm not sure that I personally would, that can be tough. But at the same time, there's got to be consequences in death.
And that's why I pushed you guys towards the side quest in London that had the moral question.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Well, and the London chapter is called London, but I get what you're saying. I pushed you guys towards the moral of the two.
The werewolf.
Because the other one is, this is really just a side quest that does not impact story, does not impact character, does not encourage growth. Whereas the werewolf thing, other than the 4,500 hours we spent talking about why we should kill Jason's character, beyond that, it still helped every character grow in some way.
Well, five of the six.
That gave us a great... That conflict, though, that whole question about Wentworth, that really was that crystallized moment, and it really did, I think, create a lot of good character moments, which is some of my favorite parts of the game.
Yeah.
Were those discussions and the continual... Instead of having a great romance of will they or won't they get together, it's will they or won't they kill Wentworth.
The great...
Or will he kill all of them?
Yeah.
And that's what I meant by I felt like Botticello's storyline had reached its climax. Because if I hadn't died there, I would have died later, killing Wentworth.
Yeah.
And I would have turned the group up. The only reason I had done it before is because I knew what we were working towards was bigger than that. And if the group would have fallen apart at that point, it would have been worse. But he was still pushing the limit too hard for my character not to react.
Well, and you also, fought a land war in Asia. You picked a melee character in
I know.
Hulu
He lasted a lot longer than I thought he would.
And I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but not a single
Yeah.
cultist really picked up a gun.
Well, that's the problem, though, is at a certain point that flips in on itself, where when you're dealing with these cultists that have like 35 to club or whatever it was, they can kind of just blast away. But once you get to the big bad guys, like fire vampires or some of these other ones, then the only way to do it is with enchanted weapons. So if you don't have some sort of fallback like that, if you're just like, oh, I've got my sweet shotgun, which does nothing. Or you could have a lot of magic spells in your back pocket if you're a real cool dude.
I really wanted to play a character that wasn't a typical shooting kind of a character.
Yeah.
And I really like what Chizobo become, which is more of what I had kind of wanted about it. He's still not guns, but he's at least ranged. He's not necessarily...
You could have
going to
throwing
get
stars and call
face
yourself
melted.
Weld Jr.
It's even bad at it as well.
Then what would have gotten one in the back of the head on accident.
Yeah. But following up on what I was saying before is as a function of the game, when people did die and we brought in new people, I never felt that at that point we were so caught up in the plot that it was hard to find space for those characters to breathe. So like Frank was a really good character and he was fun, but he didn't have he didn't have as many like points as Botticello did to like do stuff, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like big character beats to have those discussions about what should we do or what shouldn't we do, and some of the replacement characters felt like Ma, I think too, like all of them.
I feel like Ma got a good range. I think Catherine didn't get as much range as she could have. I know that
Yeah, can't even remember his name, can you?
Living Good.
the one
Nope.
before Living Good.
Nope, that's not what he's talking about. The speed bump that was Catherine's would-be occult buddy.
Yeah. The guy
The
before
French
Living
guy.
Good.
Go ahead, the guy that got killed by,
French
that
guy.
went in and wanted to tattle on Wentworth because his mom and dad were cultists.
And he couldn't
That
use a
guy,
gun.
do you remember his name? Couldn't fire a gun, couldn't reload a gun? Can anyone name his name?
Yeah,
It
No.
was,
sure can.
It
trying to
bothered
remember
me
the
he
fake
died
names.
when he did, because I really wanted to see the resolution.
Yeah, that was a missed beat.
Yeah.
Because that totally got wiped out because just none of the characters had the knowledge.
Archibald Lancaster.
Archibald.
Thank you.
Archie.
Lancaster. I always want to say Lannister. Yeah, except I got smoked like a fatty J.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't feel like Archibald got much of anything. I think Grave got at least a decent arc.
Yeah.
Not as I don't think it was as full as Burns, but
No.
But Grave was fully realized, like, the motivations were very clear in his morality.
Yeah.
And like going in the water at the end especially, that was a great moment.
Yeah.
That was something I had issues, and Matt and I have talked about this. Once Weld was out of the picture, like Ian's only motivation was get revenge for Weld, and I didn't even think that was that strong because I had Ian Byrne in my head as the hard-nosed New York detective, like, once Egypt was done, if he had survived, he'd be like, okay, we did it, let's go, and like we stopped this one from happening, and he would have been gone because there's no paycheck. So I don't know what would have happened if he survived.
Well, and I have to say that,
Fight.
that Grave's, it gave me pause and then made me see Grave in a much, much deeper light when it was like, okay, we'll get in the boat. And you said, well, I'm swimming ashore to help the people.
yeah.
Yeah, well,
So it seemed when you were like, no, I'm going to swim to the shore and help those people. And I had to take a moment to pause.
no, I mean, I was raised Catholic, so like I have ideas of how a priest should act.
Yeah. Because the first part of me went, dude, what are you, nuts?
And yeah, I mean,
And Grave had a bit of a pragmatic streak to him that I don't think never got as dark as like Ma did necessarily, or
no. And the secret origin of Grave is I was basically just playing Shepherd Book from Firefly. Man in the past, he's seen his fair share of battle and whatnot, and he's gonna do everything he can not to, leave people behind again. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, his motivation to get in there was a lot deeper than Burns ever was.
Okay. So overall, you guys enjoyed it.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yikes.
I think we've talked about this. I don't know what it is about Call of Cthulhu that I'm not a big fan of. Other than to say, I'm really into Fate right now, as we talked about a lot in the past. And the thing about Fate is your characters are assumed to be badass guys who can take names and chew bubblegum and, have plenty of ammo to work with. And in D&D, which is primarily the game that I've played before, again, you may not have all that you need from first level, but
you're an adventurer, not a peasant.
Exactly. And here in Call of Cthulhu, learning the magic that this is another thing I haven't got to, but learning the magic you need to fight the bad guys taints you like the bad guys, and thus, it's. I do enjoy the slow slide down the hill. Like my intentions are good, but it's dragging me to hell at the same time. Like that's fun, but it's not how you can't win a game that way.
Do you
win a game isn't the right word, but
do you like horror movies?
I do. I love horror movies, but again the whole when the protagonist of a horror movie takes action to fight the bad guys, like they just get themselves killed, and that's fine. But the thing about a horror movie is it doesn't last almost 2 years,
18 months.
18 months.
So I don't know if I would feel this way if it had happened, but I almost feel like we should all be on our fourth or fifth character.
Yeah, no, that's true. Because, part of the horror thing is, you never really win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The best you come out is you're alive but horribly traumatized.
Right.
And that's, I've always, before I think this is the longest campaign I've ever played in, period. But also, I've always felt that, horror really does work as a a one-shot kind of thing, because it makes the stakes higher, because as a player, we're playing for a certain length of time. If you're only playing for a couple hours, it's more likely that you're going to get a character, a DM can make you knock off your character a lot quicker than they would for a longer campaign or trying to do a story thing. So that's kind of, the length is at odds with the thematic content, maybe.
Right. The story we were referring to earlier, where Jesse left us all to die to Deep Ones. I had played. That was my third official game of Call of Cthulhu. Matt and Shirley and I had played one as we were planning the podcast. We played one just to test out the system, in which I basically played a proto Ian Byrne. I played a detective, and we went to a house that was occupied by a vampire. I was shoved out of a window by a telekinetically controlled bed frame, and the only reason I survived was GM Fiat. He let me recover.
Yeah.
And then I went down into the basement where the vampire was and got eaten. So, it was fun. I mean, that was a great little, thing. Mm-hmm. The second story, where again I was playing Proto Burn 2, was my guy was were we saving somebody or finding something that was stolen?
You started off on a boat, didn't you?
Yes, we were on a cruise, and the Deep One sunk the ship or something.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember.
I don't remember how we ended up in the warehouse, but again, my guy was like, "Well, I'm here to save somebody or something," so I went in guns blazing, and it didn't go well. That's So those
the one you played in, George?
Yeah, that was the one he played in.
That's the one that you got out to the water, dove in, and the Deep Ones drug you under.
I could either run through fire to go one way or jump into the water to go the other way. And it shows the water,
and we didn't know the Deep Ones were there yet.
I didn't leave you guys. You guys were dying when I left.
No,
you had a car and
you had a car,
but you just drove away.
So anyway, the 18 months of this game were a little problematic for me. My characters weren't capable enough, and again, that's like we were saying, it's probably more of a function of time versus genre, or length versus genre.
Yeah.
You know, I would have been fine had the New York chapter ended with Ian dead, and then we start in London with a new character who has somehow had a new hook to drag him into the story. I think.
Well, no, that's fine. Honestly, I realized that as we were going along, the Octung storyline will be episodic for that very reason.
Right.
I think the way we're going to build it is that there will be 3. I'm going to call them seasons right now.
Sure.
And each season is going to have chapters.
Right.
And so at the end of a chapter, we'll play 2 or 3 games, or 2 or 3 nights, so 10, 12 games. There will be a reason to switch out your character if you feel like that character doesn't have the motivation to stay. I'm going to rotate you guys out if you choose to, or if you're dead.
Right. If we die,
But it's also going to be a little more pulpy. Everybody's going to have more hit points. Just period.
Well, but so my and that was going to be one of the things. You don't really win at Cthulhu. I get
Sure.
that. However, horror movies build that sense of adrenaline. They build that sense of dread. They build that sense of impending doom. How do you maintain that for 18 months at a go?
right.
You know what I mean?
It's
Am I-
hard. I mean, because I certainly didn't feel it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, honestly, my favorite chapter in this whole thing was the werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just that for me was the werewolf was the best. The New York chapter was probably number 2 because again we could have stopped right after that.
Did we take care of the werewolf? Was that a 4-episode thing? Was that one night?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As opposed to spanning
The Fallout
separate
was like,
sessions.
the Fallout was like a year, but yeah.
the
Fallout from
was
that
a whole another session.
was a whole, no, I mean literally the rest of the game. That Fallout from that was the rest of the game, and we dealt with that over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But it was 4 hours, and it was really only the last episode that really led to anything. That was you guys just ran around town and talked to some people.
Yeah, but we got to investigate. Like
Yeah,
you
sure,
said,
sure.
Yeah.
There was a mystery there. Like I wasn't sure if it was the
Oh no, you were sure that it was the right reverend.
the reverend who was a druid. You know, like
Yeah,
I
the
didn't know-
druid dude. I thought we were going to have to kill him.
Yeah, and so I didn't know who the bad guy was exactly, and like my initial thought is, there's a girl, you're claiming that she's a werewolf or whatever.
Yeah.
Clearly somebody else is screwing with us, and that wasn't what happened. It was the girl's a werewolf.
Yep.
So
So let's move on and talk about a movie. If we were going to make Masks of Nyarlathotep into a movie, and we were going to cast people and set some sort of direction and do that kind of stuff, what do you guys think? Because I think it needs to be Tim Burton movie now. That would be terrible.
that would be.
No.
Claymation.
I love
All the
Tim
way.
Burton, but that would be horrible. Claymation would be kind of fun, if like
Who did the
Paranorman.
Yeah.
mummy?
Mummy was Stephen Summers, who did also G.I. Joe.
I think actually he would be a decent director for
I
it.
think that he would handle it with too light of a touch. I'd go with Frank Darabont.
Who was he done?
The Mist, Walking
Oh, yeah.
Dead.
Okay, yeah.
He
Yeah.
does a lot of Stephen King stuff. Did he do Shawshank? Who directed that? I don't know if that's
We
Del
could
Toro
We
could
could
do
let
it.
Joss Whedon write
No.
it, so at least we'd all sound intelligent.
Why not?
No. So we'd all sound
And then
the
directed
same.
by Michael Bay.
Ooh.
Not enough explosions.
Well,
Pain and Gain is one of the greatest movies of the past 5 years. That's good.
I think
you serious?
Yeah, that was just
I
bizarre.
haven't seen it yet.
Bizarre.
Not in a bad way, not a good way.
It was
bizarre.
great.
You were saying, Johnny?
I think it depends on the form that it takes who directs it, because I think a movie needs a certain touch. An HBO series would
Yeah.
be another one. And Michael Bay could do certain elements.
Yeah, I think that an HBO series would probably be better.
It would.
Michael Bay would direct the assault on Gavigan Manor.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's special guest director Michael Bay for that one scene.
Yeah.
Totally.
We didn't cuss or have nearly enough nudity for HBO, though.
No, but we set out PG-13. We could.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because it could have gotten just...
No, hey,
You mean we wander into a New York hotel
Well, no,
room
no.
with a dead man in the bed? Bow, chicka, bow, wow. No?
H.P. Lovecraft was arguably asexual, and his books are almost entirely there's like no sexual tension or references
Yeah.
or romance at all in them.
Yeah!
Oh, I agree.
That's
But-
what made me sort of go.
But
what?
then there's a lot of gross body horror where you could have worked all that nudity in, and then plenty of room for swearing that we all.
Hey, we had a topless Wilkerson at one point.
Yeah, we bow chicka bow wow.
Ethan didn't like that at all.
No. So, and that was part of what. Okay, we are all sexual beings to one degree or another. Only
Go ahead.
that is a statement of biological.
Keep going.
You're not
Keep
protesting
going.
with your.
No,
arms
I'm I'm about to protest, but go ahead. I want to see where this goes before I go protest.
He'll allow it.
Because if you start with a sentence, we're all sexual beings, that can go a lot of places that I'm not sure I'm comfortable with.
Good for you.
Like that one. Go ahead.
We are all sexual beings, but one of the things that hit me was the stark lack in what I've read of Lovecraft. So there is the want to, as you said, with some of the more graphic scenes, then the nudity could have been, good catch, could have been gladly orchestrated just in the way that any Cinemax director could do.
Well, when you guys go into the temple where Imweru is preparing for the birth of the
Right.
baby demon, like, I assumed, in my mind, Imweru was nude. I may not have described her that way, but that's how I saw it in my head.
Oh, and I got that not at all.
You
I
don't have
figured,
babies with your clothes on. I'm sorry.
right,
No,
but I
she
figured
wasn't-
she was completely
No,
covered.
she wasn't.
completely.
She
I know.
wasn't
No.
having the baby. She was the priestess.
Right.
Yeah.
Still
Well-
clothed
Oh, yeah,
fully
yeah,
in
yeah.
my mind.
I was envisioning it that way.
Okay.
See,
I-
because, as I said, we are all sexual beings. But what I've read from Lovecraft so far, and it has been limited, I will admit, has been asexual, as George says, almost to a point that it creeps me out a bit.
He was.
Like it wasn't
No,
natural.
He as a person.
Like it wasn't natural. And there's something unnatural about this. Ugh.
What flows where Lovecraft's horror comes from, people have studied and debated, there's a lot of criticism about where it comes from, and he's got weird relationships to women. He was a racist, even notable for the time period. For a racist time period, he was a racist. He thought that people who weren't Anglo-Saxon were lesser than. He was also an anti-Semite, but very curiously married a Jewish woman and seems to, and she, in her communications with him, seems to indicate that he would forget that she was Jewish. But also that they never seemed to consummate the relationship. Or maybe did only a few occasions, but she was also older than him.
Did he have children?
No. He came from this weird family, and here's another reason why he may have been asexual, was he came from a family, New England gentry, that the father had spent most of the fortune and then died in a sanitarium. Some people think possibly might have been from syphilis, because he was a traveling salesman, and the way he died was kind of hush-hush and not quite explained, so it could have been some sort of syphilis type thing.
Right.
But maybe that would be something that would fueled him. He was very close to his mother. Like, he did not like to... He didn't like to eat. He didn't like pleasures in life. Wasn't really to him. He was a very intellectual person. He liked... And from a young age, he was very smart and liked thinking about the stars and self-taught on astronomy and physics and all these other things, but really also thought that things needed to go back to another age. Had very strange relationships with people, loved writing letters to people, but was very cold in person. But again, like, a lot of this, like, the racial stuff seems to be fueled from a xenophobia that he, like, part of, like, the horror of Nyarlathotep is that he's this person walking around in the Nyarlathotep story is supposed to come from the East. And, he's supposed to be like Asian or something. It talks about these yellow marauding hordes doing various things. And then a lot of the worshippers are described as people who are, to use his parlance, not mine, half-breeds or, degenerates.
Right.
Who, sailors and people who live in wharves and, things like this. And so that's like what it comes from, but it's very weird. We're going to see a weird flip side to that. Alan Moore, who did The Watchmen and stuff like that. He's very fascinated by that. He wrote a comic book series. He's written 3 different series. One's just coming out that are Lovecraftian. He's like, let's put the sex back in Lovecraft. And I only read the second one, and it was one of the most nauseating things I've ever read in comics, where a female FBI agent has an encounter with a deep one, and he puts the sex into the horror, and it was one of the most awful things I've ever read. It was awful. Yeah. And so, it might be better, that Lovecraft did not include those things in it, and maybe it does add some amount of unease. But if you read all of his stories, all his protagonists, they're very solitary people. They'll have like one or two friends, but they usually investigate things on their own,
Right.
and go crazy on their own.
Which
There's
is-
a lot of coldness in his
Right.
work.
Which is why with the group dynamics of 5 or 6 people, that missing element made it just askew enough to make it that I noticed the asexuality of it on a couple of different occasions where I went, huh, now is that where you expected that to go? Not at all, right?
No, that's kind of where I was hoping.
You were hoping it would go, but you were preparing that it might go somewhere else.
So,
Let her go.
Oh no,
just-
Oh,
fine.
Sandy.
I thought you were pointing somebody else at the
Her.
fucking door.
Yeah.
What,
Well,
you don't see them out there?
Hold on. So, can we start casting? Because not that I don't love the talk, but the intent of this was. Sorry, Donnie.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that was something that we didn't, Shirley and I didn't discuss. But since I was sure, like the asexuality of the game, but Shirley being the only female in the group and playing the only female character, being attached to my character, who's a single male in New York, like we sat down and said, okay, what is our relationship going to be?
Yeah.
And we said at the very beginning, mainly because it's a PG-13 podcast, we just said, nope, they're completely, what's the word I'm looking for? Platonic in their relationship. And at best, Ian looked at Eva as a younger sister who he kept trying to keep out of trouble.
Which
She just wouldn't go away.
I would still
Yeah.
argue is a sexual mindset. Like,
Yes,
she's
in a
her
way.
sister, protect her.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't mean, again,
Yeah.
but that's still, there is a mindset there that lends to that. But I get where you're coming from.
But there were several times where, like, my inclination was to try and convince Eva to put on a dress and seduce the guy that we wanted information from.
Yeah.
But we had said Eva would never do that, so
Yeah.
and Ian would not
And the
ask her
thing
that.
is,
So
she didn't grow up with her mother, so I mean, you guys don't know this
right,
backstory about her.
secret,
But
secret Eva
she,
story.
she was a tomboy. She wouldn't even have known how to be like, "Hey, how you doing? How
Right.
you doing?"
Well, and
Yeah.
and in that way, Eva added to the asexual aspect of
Right.
the character of the game.
Because
No.
I felt like she was just one of the guys. I think at different aspects during the game, and I don't know if this is like partly Shirley or whatever, but she was attracted to the intelligence of the men in the group. But then,
She was also playing a very Annie Oakley kind of deal where,
Right.
with the concept of the quote, "I can love a man, I can also shoot him."
Right.
So, whatever.
Yeah.
So now let's get into casting. Can I go to
Sure.
casting now? So let's start off with who the cement that held this group together until he died, until he went crazy. Weld. Who plays Weld? And anybody can chime in. It's not just George used to make the decision.
Someone else should say, 'cause when we did, I think for both of my characters, I've described them as being played by various actors. So maybe someone else should come up with that.
I saw Ed Norton.
oh,
Oh, I can see that.
nice.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, Ed Norton has a lot of range,
Yeah.
but he's that small, wiry guy who can be eccentric. I could see Ed Norton in that
I
role.
loved him in Kingdom of Heaven, so yeah, I
Yeah.
can see where that comes from. But I thought like a really young Jeff Goldblum.
Maybe.
So
It's been a long time.
That would be the best Weld ever. Because he'd be putting drops of water on girls' hands. It would just be weird.
And when he's coming with when he tries to do the Eastern mystic but it's pseudo mystic. It's
Right.
not that like yeah.
That's a good answer.
Wow.
Plus,
Sorry, I didn't
Jeff-
mean to steal Ed Norton from you.
Jeff
No,
Goldblum
Goldblum-
would jump off
Goldblum.
and hurt himself from that fire escape. That's perfect.
Yeah.
When he starts getting really frantic, going like, doing the gold ball, right? Perfect. It'd be great.
Oh.
I like both of those guys, so I'm fine with either.
So who plays Captain Wilkerson?
I would have to go to like old timey Hollywood because he's such an old timey character and like.
Was he too old timey?
No.
No, he was perfect
Okay.
in the thing. So
But there's no one today who plays that sort of role.
well, I kept seeing the Safari guy from Jumanji.
yeah,
I mean, I've seen him play other roles, but that's the one that's most relevant
So
for me.
Michael Caine in Secondhand Lions.
maybe. Well, I don't know that one, but Michael
Yeah.
Caine maybe.
But I'm saying a younger Michael Caine, because if you watch Second Night Lands, I don't know if you guys have, but they like lived the life in Tunisia during the day, and like you weren't quite to the level of the other guy who was in it. I can't think of his name. Robert Duvall, because he was like murder a guy just to watch him be murdered, kind of like he was the guy that had done everything and didn't want to deal with it anymore. But like Michael Caine's character was a little more lighthearted, but had seen things, and that's the kind of character that kind of
It's not a great movie, but League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Connery plays Alan Quartermain. Just I mean,
Right.
there's a scene in that movie where somebody shows up at his hunting club and is demanding to see Alan Quartermain, and you don't know who Alan Quartermain is, and there's this old guy sitting in, who's sitting in a chair, and he's like, "I'm Alan Quartermain," and he starts spouting these old stories, and they shoot him, and then the real Alan Quartermain like jumps up and is in action. I totally could see Wilkerson pulling that kind of thing. Like, there are people out there that like are trying to kill me or trying to whatever, and he sets somebody else up as his fall guy for the fanboys who show up and want autographs. Someone else can deal with the fame,
Right.
and then he does the action. So Sean, that portrayal by Sean Connery, again younger because Wilkerson was younger. But
what about Byrne?
well, I have a guy, because,
Clive Owen.
Yeah, I think I've said it several times. That was who shoot him up in Sin
Clive
City.
Owen. Remind me.
What you just said.
Sin City, the guy.
Oh,
in
okay.
the
Okay. Because
sneakers.
the minute you said it, his face went out of my head. I was
Okay.
like, okay, all right, now we know.
Also, Inside Man, the lead criminal in Inside Man.
King
Just-
Arthur.
He was
And
King
I was
Arthur.
thinking, now I can see him, but his name just fell out of my Transporter.
Statham.
Statham.
Sure.
Statham?
Jason Statham.
As
Yeah.
an old timey New York
Other than
detective.
his American accent sucks. Yeah.
Right.
These are all British guys. We need an American to play Byrne. That's how I feel.
But I could see Jason Statham with a chair in that fight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bruce Willis would have done the chair scene justice.
Probably.
I think a fat
Just like down, like Die Hard style, just like down the last wire, fighting a guy off with a chair.
I think
No
a,
shoes.
a fat Bruce Willis would do well as Botticello.
Not weird enough. 'Cause Botticello, there's something about Botticello that squicked people out, the characters out, even though that Botticello was not really that bad of a guy, but people were very suspicious of Botticello, so I feel it's gotta be someone like a character actor like Steve Buscemi or someone
That's
that like...
exactly who I was
Very
going
fat
to say.
Steve Buscemi? Heck
Bigger
yeah.
Steve
No,
Buscemi.
see, and I was thinking with an Italian accent, the guy from Raiders of the Lost Ark who played with the hanger when he had what's her face that got that attacked the bar.
The Gestapo
The
guy?
Gestapo guy, only with an Italian accent instead of.
You really
To
thought
play.
that he was something awful.
Oh, I did.
I picture something more like charming and like put upon and everything.
Oh
I
no!
kind of had in my mind Vincent Price, sort of, kind of
Nice.
that off kind of character, and he had a tragic background that nobody really knew about.
That young Vincent Price for well too, actually.
Yeah, see, and I had Botticello as, yes, we found it here. And it was like, whoa! Yeah, I had Botticello as just creepy as hell. It was bad.
What about Eva?
I don't really have anybody.
Deadwood,
I said
the lady who plays
Calamity Jane?
Calamity Jane in Deadwood. I can't think
Yeah.
what her name is, but that is.
Calamity Jane?
I pictured that the entire.
Oh
way
yeah,
through.
yeah. She's really solid in that show.
And the
Yeah.
thing is, when we came up with the concept, that's who I thought of.
Yeah.
Because isn't that Amy Oakley?
No,
Not
they're
Amy,
totally different person.
Yeah.
Any of it was later.
Oh, that's what. Because I was like, oh, what about Calamity Jane? And then we said that was too late of a time period. I had to come
Too
up.
early. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a show on Netflix called Peaky Blinders. It's about an Irish mob. It's pretty good. There's a woman in that series. She's very tough, and again, she's not American. But I don't know a lot about her, but
Mhm.
I think that actress could play Eva.
Right on.
And I pictured her as a young Andy McDowell.
Okay.
Oh,
Ooh, it could have been Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman.
that's
Jane Seymour?
Yeah.
The double.
I don't know about Andy McDowell. She seems very flighty.
Really? And that didn't work?
Did you think Eva was flighty?
Only when you broke into What's-His-Face's house.
From time
and
to
then,
time.
Look, I got knocked into What's-His-Face's house.
All I did was help you achieve your lifelong dream.
Of breaking into Sherlock Holmes' house.
Yep, that's
So
easy.
let's talk about Wentworth now. Besides the Spawn of Satan, who plays Wentworth in a movie? Oh, that's a lot of Wednesdays.
So hoity-toity. It was very hoity-toity.
an older Orson Welles.
Yes.
There's an actor that my wife is obsessed with, and she loves guys who play weird, smarmy bureaucrats
Mm-hmm.
who just like look down on everyone. For some reason, she loves that. And so there's this actor, Henry Czerny, who you might, if you've seen Mission Impossible, he's the guy who runs the Mission Impossible team that's just like you, Ethan, and whatever, and then like Ethan blows up the
Yeah.
Fish tank.
the fish tank. That's the guy. He's the bad guy from Clear and Present Danger.
Mm-hmm.
But he's just like this kind of like very, very good at like looking down his nose at people and like being better than them, and kind of like just like a bad bureaucrat or an evil bureaucrat who's very good at being a bureaucrat, but he sends other people to do his dirty work and doesn't dirty his hands.
I was thinking Tim Curry. Because no matter how nice a character Tim Curry tries to play, he is always the villain.
Evil.
I mean, it just,
Yeah.
you can tell. Even when he's trying to, like, he could be petting a rabbit, and you know he's going to do something evil because it looks Tim Curry.
See, where I didn't
That's
want to
not
give him
bad.
that much credit, I would have said the guy that played Otho from Beetlejuice. Because Tim Curry's got his stuff together way too much.
Oh, I know what you're
Oh my
talking about.
gosh,
Associate
that-
Bob from Demolition Man. That
Yes,
guy's got a real
yes,
name too.
yes.
That guy rules.
That guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
My wife
That
calls
would
him
be
Otho. I call him
fantastic.
Associate Bob.
That would
That'd be good too, because he can't be someone who looks physical, you know?
Yeah,
true.
Like Tim Curry is like so physical and has a great physicality. I feel
Yes.
like one of Wentworth's things is, well, I just stand here and you guys run off and do that, and then when they get close, I might do something, but you guys do it instead.
Well, I might do something pseudo that you're not going to notice because all I did was wave my hand like Jedi magic, because even just going "Ah," and throwing lightning bolts is too much. That's
Yeah,
just sort of, it's
yeah.
got to be like, I waved my hand. What, you didn't notice?
And if Tim
Missed
Curry is casting a spell, he's going to let you know he cast.
True.
Right.
That's true. Yeah.
So now we're into characters that replaced other characters, and we'll start with Frank. Because I'm trying to go chronologically.
The skeevy dude from The Mummy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Betty.
Yeah.
Benny with all the
Benny.
amulets.
That's totally what I got.
Benny.
See, and I saw, what's his name? From Firefly.
Badger.
Badger.
Yeah.
The actor that played Badger. Could have played
I
Frank
mean, they're
real well.
both-
That was actually the one that I was thinking about also, yeah.
The guy that I had in my mind was, I can't remember what else he's been in. There's a, oh crap. The show Becker that,
Yeah.
Dax left to go
Yeah.
do with Ted Danson.
Yeah.
There was this skeevy guy that was always hitting on her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If he was taller, that would have been Frank.
Nice.
Okay.
And he's been in other things where he's played that kind of role. And he's like, what? I'm not a bad guy all the time. Real nasally voice.
I would like
That's-
to say that one of the true moments of horror in this show is realizing the sum collective knowledge that we have of Becker. It's terrifying to me.
See, and I've never seen an episode.
Oh, really?
Don't enter the mythos, my friend.
Okay. Thank
That
you
way
for the
only
warning.
lies
You start to
madness.
lose your ability to have more sanity.
But Hurley from Lost on it.
So next we got Ma and Catherine. So why don't we start with Ma?
Ma, partly because there's a severe dearth of popular Asian actors, but the one that I always had in mind was Bolo Young, who's from Blood Sports and Enter the Dragon, because I think his physicality is just so, has always been very interesting because I've never seen anyone that really looks like him. He's just, like, especially in Enter the Dragon, he's just so wide and kind of like stocky, and, you know, a lot of the other like martial artists in the film are very like taller, svelte, and they move and they've got speed, but he just looks like power.
Is he the second in command guy?
Yeah, he's the guy who picks up a dude and then just folds him in half and kills
Yes.
him while like grinning like intensely. So amazing.
Well, and I saw an adapted form or an adaptation of Oddjob.
Yeah, he's
Just
kind
that
of dressed
thick,
like
no
Oddjob.
neck.
What's the guy from Austin Powers that throws the hat?
Don't talk about that.
The
'cause
shoe.
He's a very sad story.
Oh, really?
He's in jail for doing some bad stuff.
So wouldn't Ma also be?
No, this is stuff that Mo wouldn't do.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Well, move
That
along,
narrows-
move
that
along.
narrows it down.
Change the conversation.
What about Catherine?
So I don't know her name, and I'm trying to look for her, but
What's she in?
Who is it?
I can't remember.
Oh, that actress from that thing. Great radio.
She's from The Revengist, and she was Agent 13.
Let me see.
I don't know how you call it.
Pass that
Revengist. It's
down.
Revenge.
She looks familiar. I've seen her in something.
Yeah.
She was in the latest of Captain America movie as
Agent 13.
yeah, she's Agent 13. I forget her name.
Really?
Emily something, right?
Or no, or is that Rosamund Pike? Or is it Emily? It's one of the two.
We should edit this
Yeah.
out, Matt. It's a lot of dead air.
Yeah. Thanks for showing a picture on radio.
Sorry.
You mean Emily Van Camp?
I think that's right.
Sure.
No. That's not.
Then it's Rosamund Pike.
Who I've actually heard of before.
Oh, there's our Botticello.
Huh?
Toby Jones.
Toby Jones is great. I love Toby
He's
Jones.
short,
Who's Toby Jones?
though.
Well, yeah, Botticello was
Armzola.
not going to
Oh,
dunk.
Arnim Zola, yeah. He might have been a good winner.
Jonas.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was my call.
Okay.
If we ever
Anybody
find her
else?
name.
Anybody else for Catherine?
This is the one where I say Dr. Quinn as would have made.
Yeah.
I mean, just filled the role. Or Janeway, or Captain Janeway.
I just saw her
yeah,
as a
Janeway.
blonde for some reason.
See, and I did
But
not
I
see
mean,
her as a
but
blonde.
I would.
Yeah.
No, she was a brunette the entire way.
Really?
No blonde.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Okay.
thought she was dark haired as well.
Yeah.
I kind of pictured the, I don't know if it's the current companion on Doctor Who or not, but the one with the,
Clara.
yes, that one.
Jenna
Yes.
Coleman?
Yeah.
Jenna Coleman.
Okay.
The one that's here in town right now?
Yeah, she's in town right now.
Oh, that's right. She's here.
And guess who's waiting just outside this door?
Nobody.
A bunch of ghosts.
I need to go stalk her later. I'm sorry.
Are you coming to the con tomorrow?
Right now. Well, if Jenna Coleman's there.
And she's waiting to see you specifically.
So's Jason Momoa.
As long as you pay for the.
I knew
And
that,
he's
I knew
waiting
that,
to
but
see
I'm
me
far more interested
I
in
believe
seeing
you
Jenna
mean
Coleman.
Khal Drogo.
I mean,
You need to get a bumper
Aquaman.
for the show from
You mean Aquaman.
I mean, Khal
I'm
Drogo
going
underwater
to
in his
Willis
underwear.
House down in
Right.
South
Running a
Indiana
squid.
tomorrow.
Named
First-
Khal Drogo.
Southern
First, he was Khal Drogo. Then he was
Tapping.
Da-da-da-da. With the tapping.
First, he was Khal Drogo. Then he was in the show Atlantis. Now he will be the Prince of Atlantis.
No,
No, you got that backwards. He was in the show
Atlantis
Atlantis. Then he was
first.
Carl Drogo.
because
Now he's Aquaman.
Stargate Atlantis
Prince,
came out before
Atlantis, Prince of Atlantis. It's the way the flow of the sentence
Khal
went.
Drogo.
Yeah.
Khal Drogo is not a lowly prince.
He's a
He is the
Khal.
Khal
Yes.
of his Khalasar.
That
Anyway.
would
Also
be you.
Okay, so next we got Father Grabe.
I gave you a name earlier. I forgot. the last name.
Peter Piper
Pettigrew?
picked Becca. Peter.
Hostile Thwaite.
Jesus. Yes,
How do you know?
he played the priest in
That's kind of
the
terrifying.
Yeah.
Romeo and Juliet, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and
That was William
Claire Danes.
Shakespeare's version.
I'm sorry,
William Shakespeare. That's how that's the full title
Right,
of that
William
film.
Shakespeare's
Romeo
Romeo
and Juliet.
plus Juliet.
Plus
And
Juliet.
plus.
Plus.
So yeah, he's the guy I pictured when I made
Right on.
Grabe. Just a few years, probably about where he is now in life.
Whereas I
honestly.
saw the old priest from The Exorcist, the original movie.
Nice.
He also played Kobayashi in Usual Suspects, which is a
Yeah.
cool thing.
He played
Yeah.
Kobayashi
Yes, he
in,
did.
in Star Trek.
Yes. His last name
He
was
played the
Maru.
unwinnable scenario.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kobayashi
Yeah.
and Maru.
What
Yeah.
they have to do is they have to
No,
jump
no.
around on him.
No, Kobayashi plus Maru.
William Shatner's Kobayashi plus Maru.
Right.
Oh yeah.
No, this would be
This is a
perfect.
good riff that we're
We
going
need to
on.
see this movie. We need this art to sell.
I don't know if this is drawable by anyone.
Yeah,
And it will not make any sense.
Just do a poster, a movie poster. William Shatner's Kobayashi plus Maru.
With just a picture of Peter Postlethwaite.
Right.
Very valuable, too.
And then when William Shatner comes to a Comic-Con, we just get him to sign it. $1 million.
Yep.
I imagine his reaction to that will be great.
Oh,
goodness.
after Grabe, we got what's the character's name?
Archie Lannister.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was waiting for you just to skip the character altogether because he was apparently so
No, I know
not
which-
memorable.
I know which order I killed characters off in.
Oh, well, there you go. As long as you got those notches in your belt properly.
So
annotated.
what about him?
Does it matter?
Archibald.
Doesn't matter! Yikes!
He's going to be on screen for all of 30 seconds.
Like, this
And I
is
thought he
where-
had the most poignant, like, I'm going to tell to your mom and dad that you're not in the cult, or I'm going to tell the cult that your mom and dad are the cult. Like, I thought he had a moment that went, dun, 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 and everybody just went, whatever.
It did, but then you died, and then it just kind of dropped through.
Do you know
Yeah.
who could play him? Would be Orson Welles today.
Dead. Yes. Very good. Yes, nice.
And the part of the dead body being played by...
Yeah. See, and I thought of him as Cary Grant-esque, or you know.
I can see that.
I don't remember Cary Grant dying.
No, he's dead. He's dead too. Yeah,
Sean
he did
Bean.
die.
Sean Bean. I mean, you do die pretty early.
There you go.
Good casting, I like it.
Sean Bean,
Bean.
yes.
Perfect.
Definitely.
Moving on.
Wow.
What was that? Leave with the Chisobo? Oh no. Yeah, we'll go with Chisobo next. I forgot you had another character.
Yeah, thanks.
Whew. Chisobo?
Lawrence Fishburne is what I was thinking of.
Larry Fishes.
I was thinking about has anybody seen The Air Up There?
No.
With
No.
Shaquille O'Neal?
No, that is Shazam.
No, Shaquille O'Neal's in a lot of films.
Yeah.
Blue Chip.
I was thinking the guy that played Igo from Lost.
Yeah, me too. I can't pronounce his name, but I know him
Incredible.
particularly from, that terrible G.I. Joe movie, but Oz, in which he plays one of the most terrifying characters.
Oh, is he in Oz?
Yeah.
See, I haven't
Oh,
watched
man.
Oz, and I'm trying to come up with reasons like, if he's in there, I'm in.
Oh, the cast in Oz is fantastic.
I will
So
tell
many
you
people
that
come out there.
the intro music and the intro for Oz is terrifying by
It's
today's
great.
standard. Horrible.
What? It
Wow.
sets the tone so well.
It's just weird. It was before HBO hit their stride on intros.
No way. This is what launched HBO as a must-see network.
The intros. No, I'm talking about the intro. The rest of the show is fine.
The intro's
Well,
great.
Yeah.
Intro's great.
also terrifying in its own way, but in a good way.
It's like people shouting and jail door slamming. It's great. It's
Nice.
kind of like bongo thing going on. It's really cool.
All right.
That makes me so happy when that starts because I'm about to
What's
watch
the-
an hour of excellent entertainment.
What's the you guys don't watch Justified. There's a guy that plays that plays a character named John Baptiste in the newest season. He's really good, I think. And when I saw him, I went,
Okay, Oz.
no, George, let's stay on topic. We are.
Remind me to tell you something about
Thank
Oz
you.
that'll blow your mind.
I think
Okay.
Shirley was talking about Charles Togana Maina.
What?
That dude with the basketball.
But anyways,
Oh.
the guy who played Ego from Lost, and I feel really bad that I cannot pronounce his name.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he's an actor I love. I follow his stuff. He's great in everything.
Yeah.
I will butcher his name and feel really bad if I say it, but that guy's great.
That or the one African American gentleman who was Goa'uld when they had in like season 5 or 6 when they had the
We're not
big.
talking about Teal'c, are we?
No, not
Teal'c
Teal'c.
would be awesome.
No,
He was in season
the
1.
only African American Goa'uld.
Oh,
Teal'c's a
I'm with
Jaffa.
you. Yeah, you're right. God.
Okay.
They're talking about Stargate stuff.
Okay,
Rachel
good. So I was
Boba.
lost.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
what?
Stargate. For those of you who realize what a really good science fiction show is, you'll know the name Stargate.
Star Trek.
Watch Oz instead.
SG-1.
No.
Stargate
Yes, I
Universe
gotcha.
is amazing.
I've never seen Oz. I won't watch it. It's horrible. It's a
Wait,
guy
wait,
show.
I've never
Stop.
seen it. It's
Stop.
horrible.
Stop.
Okay,
Let's
I've
focus.
seen.
So next,
We're gonna
next-
focus.
Right, I'm focusing. That's for the first time this wasn't me.
We're moving on.
Wasn't me.
We're moving on. I know, but I'm looking at you because it's your character next, and I can't think of his name. Living Good. Go.
Robert Livingood.
Robert.
I believe it was
Robert.
Ronald.
Robert
Oh,
Downey
no, it
Jr.
was-
I think you're wrong.
See,
Is that Robert Downey
Jr.
Jr.'s brother, Ronald?
See, and I was thinking, who is the guy in the
He's making a
Baseball.
baseball bat swing motion.
Keanu Reeves
with the
hardball. It's
Gina
baseball.
Davis, A League of Her Own.
Yes.
with the lightning.
Oh, Gina
Robert Redford.
Davis as Eva McCree.
I would take Gina Davis actually as Catherine because Gina Davis
yeah.
is very smart.
I would take Gina
Exactly.
Davis as Catherine as well. Robert Redford,
Oh, you're the natural.
The Natural. Yeah, that one.
I threw out a baseball movie.
Really? Because I thought Robert Redford's so clean cut. I was picturing someone like really grizzly.
Oh, really?
Like, because I was thinking
For
of like,
Living Good?
yeah, because Living Good was like an ivory hunter.
Yeah.
Living out in the bush.
Yeah,
So I was
I-
picturing
I
something
mean,
like a big beard, like real gnarly.
Charlton Heston?
Yes. Jeez, my brain.
Old Chuck.
Yeah.
Like a really unhinged one. Well, he
Yeah.
wasn't
Well-
claimed that unhinged, but there was always something boiling beneath the surface. Like he was really.
Yeah.
So
angry.
then would you then go late stage Mel Gibson? Like just, I
I'm trying to
mean,
think
He
of
didn't
who
have
is
enough
similar.
facial hair.
No, I think Mad Max Mel Gibson, because there is something boiling under the surface there. There is some crazy boiling under the surface of Mel
Crazy.
Gibson. If you look in his eyes in Mad Max, he's ready to just flip a truck.
Yeah, mentally yes, but then like the Patriot age, like the
Well,
Yeah.
the Patriot is also
Leathery.
unhinged.
yeah,
He's
oh
also-
yeah. I saw like
Most
three
of-
clips of that. Whoa!
Most
that's
of Mel
that
Gibson's
much.
characters have like a tremendous darkness to them, which is, in hindsight, sort of scary.
Because I really don't agree with what he's doing right now in
Well, but-
anything in this reality. But maybe that.
But racism would fit the time at least.
Yeah, there you go.
So, all right. Let's look at the villains in this. Who plays Gavigan? Scott.
Jim Gaffigan.
Jim Gavigan.
Mhm.
No.
That's funny.
That's what I thought every single time. I talked about it.
Yes! Oh,
I played a game. Rodrigo ran an Exalted game, and my character's opponents. I think it was like Daily Show was on the TV in the other room, so I was writing my backstory. The evil cult leader that was in the character's backstory was named Corddry, and so one of the other people correctly thought of Rob Corddry every single time that the name came up, which was not intentional, but anyways,
Gavigan?
Gavigan.
See, we didn't interact with him enough.
you shot him.
That's not interaction. That's suck
That's
lead,
pretty
maggot.
personal.
It's personal, but there's not a lot of feedback from here. Catch a bullet.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. We can move on.
Yeah. Let me think. Let me cogitate on that for a little bit because it did instill enough in me that I defiled his curtains. So
I always thought of Hugh Grant in that.
yeah, that sort of
Yeah.
Feckless.
Kind of
smarmy.
smarmy.
Yeah.
What about Omar Shakti? Because all I could think of was the Mummy from
Arnold
The Mummy.
Vosloo is.
Arnold Vosloo.
That's the guy.
Oh, is that? Oh, yeah. Okay, so yeah, that guy.
Whereas I was thinking more of Oded Fair.
Mm-hmm. He's the Magi.
Also from The Mummy,
Yes.
but not The Mummy, which is Arnold Vosloo.
Right.
Not to be confused.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking more Oded Fair.
I was thinking Arnold Vosloo.
When I say Roger Carlyle, who were you guys thinking of?
Robert Carlyle.
I'm not kidding about that.
Right. I went right there with
For our
it.
listeners
I
at
will
home,
take that.
George is a professional troll.
No, but this is
Sometimes you don't have
serious.
to worry. Anybody else?
He's good with Robert Carlyle.
28 weeks later, man. That guy's terrifying.
Eric Stoltz.
Yeah.
The first Marty McFly.
Yeah. There's been a couple movies I've seen Eric Stoltz in that he just bothers me. Not disparaging his acting skills, but
What's
Yeah.
wrong with Eric Stoltz?
Nothing.
Like him.
I just said nothing.
nothing. Just
He's good at playing
Butterfly Effect. He was creepy. He
Who was he in Butterfly Effect?
Ashton
he's the
Kutcher.
he's the neighbor's dad. He's like the best friend of Ashton Kutcher, and he gets his
Oh god.
kids.
Okay. I remember.
Yeah,
Yep,
into
got it.
bad situations.
Yeah, I got it.
That
Yeah,
and then
that made me
there's
so angry that
there's
he
a movie
did that,
about
like-
college life that I can't ever remember the title of, starring James Vanderbeek.
He was
Rules of Attraction.
Rules of Attraction, where
He was in that?
he was the college professor that the dark-haired pixie cut girl is
Oh,
like
so-
in love with, and he has students come in and he will give them good grades for favors, but not certain he has a line that he draws.
What?
He won't go like so far with his students. And yeah,
Well, that's just not right.
he's just
So-
creepy.
All right, to round it out, anybody else we should cast here?
The deep ones.
All
Press.
played by
Oh, you
Jason
know who the
Momoa.
deep ones get played by? They get played by the Super Bowl Sharks.
Yeah.
Oh!
I'm down with that.
Nice.
So no,
Wait, no,
I'm not
I
even
need Johnny.
kidding.
You have to draw that boat scene where you guys are trying to get away from Great Dragon Island, and the Super Bowl sharks coming up out of the water to take everyone down.
Yeah.
no, no, Brass Brady, because he was my target from the get go.
Honestly, I've always seen him and always will see him as Bruce Willis.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, see, my problem is again, I had him pegged as a bad guy. So the dude that played Rorschach in Watchmen, that's
Nice.
Brass Brady.
Yeah.
I don't remember what he was like.
Lee Haley? Jackie Earl Haley? Something like that.
Yeah, no, he's just got a bent nose and he's sunken cheeks and his eyes are like tired. But he's all the pictures in my head were like blurry of him. Like he's there. That's Brass Brady. Okay, and then the knock on the door. Who's there? Brass Brady. I was like, oh, and totally the guy that played Rorschach.
Okay. Anything else you guys want to touch on about this?
We're not done casting.
Okay, well, sure.
Fergus McChum.
Oh,
Fergus McChum.
The Chinaman, son,
The Irish.
Scotsman.
Please, Asian American. is the first
The
one.
bartender in Saints.
Trains.
Okay.
What?
Boondock Saints that has
Bartender
Tourette's.
in Boondock Saints.
I thought he was
He's also the old man on
Fraggle Rock.
on Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, no, I knew. Because the minute you said Saints, I knew who you were talking about. I went, really?
Yeah.
But is he Asian enough?
No, you know what? I don't even care at that point. I don't care because he's awesome.
How about Mickey Rooney?
No.
No.
I was thinking Robert Downey Jr. Because
Really?
Tropic Thunder,
For Christmas.
he plays, he's an American playing an Australian, playing an African American, who then plays a Vietnamese soldier. He can do the different characters.
Oh, that might, when you said Tropic Thunder, it sort of made sense.
I
Yeah.
love that movie.
I could see him playing a Scotsman, playing an Asian.
Fergus McChum.
That would be just, wow.
Then
But did anyone else here see Fergus McChum as, portly?
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, but I have pictures.
Okay.
Okay.
What kind of picture?
Wow!
The character
Matt, PG-13. Keep it PG-13.
is Fergus McChum. That's the name they gave him in the module, yes?
His name is Fergus Chum.
Everybody
Everybody calls him
Mick.
Mick Chum.
Wait, in
Because
the game
he's Scot.
universe, or we called him McChum?
No. In the book, it says his name is Fergus McChum. Everyone calls him Mick Chum. So it's Fergus McChum Chum. Those are big quotes there. Because he's
Wow.
Scottish, so McChum. Haha. He's a Scotsman. Ha. McChum. Haha.
Such a weird, outlandish
And
name.
character.
And
I
I
couldn't
mean,
take
just
that
the character
seriously.
concept makes me go, how did he get in this book?
It's beautiful.
And then-
Great.
I think somebody just went mad writing this module.
And then finally, Jackson Elias. The
Uh,
dead guy, at the very beginning.
Pig of
Oh,
course.
dead guy laying on
Actually, I
the
really think Tim Curry could play that. 'Cause
Yeah.
you'd want to have him in the the prelude to the first episode.
Oh, sure.
Tim Curry acting slightly crazy from having learned all these crazy things.
Yep.
Yeah, that works.
Doing the whole yarn between the different
Or,
cork boards.
or Alan Rickman.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
He played Snake in Harry Potter.
He's
Snake?
a fin-headed
Snake?
monstrosity.
Yeah, it was Snake,
Professional
right?
shoulder
Yeah.
guys.
He
Yeah, that's who
played
it
the
was.
fin-headed monstrosity in Galaxy Quest.
He played the Metatron.
Yes.
He played Hans Gruber.
He played Han Solo.
He did not play
Yes.
Han Solo.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
You watched the remake that they did in the 90s. You gotta watch the original one on VHS. That's the only one that's got the unedited version where Alan Rickman is Han Solo.
And that'll do us tonight from Nursery Presents Masks of Nyarlathotep.
That'll do us forever.
Next week, we'll be talking to the good friends of Jackson Elias, another podcast from the vaunted English Isles. It's just really England, somewhere outside of London. I don't
British Isles?
know. Yeah, that's what
You said English.
You know what? And for the record, I believe that everything in England is just outside of London, which tells you how bad I am at English geography. English geography. I can do stuff in America. I'm good there.
Whatever. That's English too.
Boo.
That's what we're speaking.
Boom.
So, after that, we will have a side quest from Justin.
Maybe.
You want to give us a preview of that story?
Things will happen. People may die.
Give us a setting. What time period will we be playing in?
I have two options. It can either be the far distant lands of Milwaukee, or
Is that a time period?
Yeah, it is.
We're playing in the Milwaukee epic?
Era.
exactly.
You're not familiar with this era?
It'll be,
I hope not.
It's just
it'll
frozen.
be
time.
modern. It can
It's
either
not-
be in Milwaukee or Japan. I haven't decided yet.
Those are very similar, so I can see why I'd have trouble distinguishing the two.
There's snow,
Exactly.
lots of beer, penguins.
The Green Bay Packers are in both places.
This is true.
Really?
They both love baseball.
Yeah, the Green Bay Packers baseball team.
No, the Milwaukee Brewers.
What am I talking about?
So, after that, we will either
It's been a
have
long day.
after that we will either have a story from Shirley or a story for me, and then the other one right after that. I don't know which one I'm going to end up putting up first. Depends on how quickly they get recorded. And then we will be joining into Octon Cthulhu. Look for that in Augustish. But no, you'll be in the first. We're only going to do 3, and then we'll go into the first
You
season.
can do it, and then I'll do
Or
it
the next
after.
season.
No, that's fine.
Whatevs.
No, you're
So
going first.
Yeah, where I am.
George, you do hold the dubious honor that your last trolling attempt was what put an end to the Mask of Nyarlathotep.
Next,
First in, last out.
after the season break of the side quest, we will be joined permanently by Phil Durham. Good night.
We were going to be joined by John F. Kennedy, but he's dead.
And also went to the prom with John's wife.
Which I still think would have been a great addition.
We've lost the thread. I'm sorry.
You drew that pause out to a really, really uncomfortable wink.
So, go to iTunes, give us a 5-star review. Let us
Hold on. Wait till we're done laughing. I'll edit this out. Go ahead.
No!
No, Johnny's correct. He needs to pull the plug on all of us.
You can find us on Facebook and Twitter. You can go over to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating. You
We
can
appreciate it.
We would appreciate it. We would be very happy for that. You can head over to
/loot.
Patreon.com.
That one.
Support us there. You can find our
George is lost it.
newsletter and sign up for that on the website. And you can find
Right-hand
us at /loot. And we will talk to you guys soon.
Bye!